All right, we're going to try this again. Cappy's going to do some consulting from the trail. We're hiking Gray Rock Trail in the Poudre River Valley, just north of Denver. Beautiful day. But we have a dark and sad, gloomy question with a dark and sad, gloomy answer. Because sometimes the truth always hurts. I don't think of it like, oh, that's true and it's pleasant. Yay. Once again, it's not the first time I've gotten this question. I have a young lady, she's 20, just past her teen years. And I don't have the email in front of me, that's why I'm doing it from here to save time. Because it's going to be a long hike. I want to get married. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. I want the traditional life. I want a bunch of kids. I want the husband to make money. I'll stay home. All June Cleaver. And she says, what do I do? And I presume she consumed some red pill stuff, or maybe just comes from a traditional family or something. But I'm kind of impressed, not shocked, but surprised. Like, there's a handful of young ladies, and they know at 20, hey, I want to get going here. I put some babies in the oven. Let's go. All right, Green Rock Trail, under 946. Okay, I'll go this way. And as I mentioned before, it's not common, but I have had 2 or 3 requests like this before. You get a young lady, she just wants to get married and have kids. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. And normally I curse and swear in my videos, but I'm kind of hoping this will be the shareable, not even monetizable, don't care if it's monetized as long as it pops up for people searching, a video that kind of answers why most women today, if you're in the marriage for market, or you're in the market for marriage, you are simply not going to be able to be a stay-at-home wife. That traditional one-income family is gone. I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm going to explain to the young lady just what a stiff cliff she gets to climb here. But more importantly, to lower your expectations for you girls, at the same time giving some pointers and tips that can increase your already abysmal chances of this happening. And maybe they got steak on the menu. Maybe you're one of the lucky few that actually manages to succeed in having a traditional thing. All right, so first, we got to look at the supply of men. All right? And the reason we got to look at the current supply of men is because we got to find out what guys are even able or capable to be responsible enough and earn enough money to support a family. Now, I wrote a book called Poor Rich's Retirement. I did a lot of research about what the 1950s household budget looked like. And I'll tell you this right now, today, it's financially possible. That's the least of your worries. It doesn't take that much to support a family on one income. What you have to do is you have to do without. Now, in the olden days, the woman played a critical, not an important, a critical role in this. The women would do the budgeting. They would find coupons. A very surprising statistic back in the 1950s was just how expensive, what a large percentage of the budget clothing was. Because we hadn't outsourced it to Taiwan or wherever else. Excuse me. These poor Asian kids are working at. So they would sew. That's why your mom get she'd get mad. I even remember the 70s. Oh man, if you came back with a hole in your jeans, and they patch it up. Not good. You did not make mom happy if you did that. But the larger point is the guy who was a team, Batman and Robin, the guy go make the money, and generally speaking, the woman would make it go as far as possible. So she'd go, get the right vegetables at the grocery, very, very shrewd shopping, and she'd stretch $1. And then another thing is, that's certainly it, but another reason why the budget was cheaper back then is you had a car. A lot of times, husband would take the bus and wife would take the car and run errands. But now you all have to have 2 cars. It has to be an SUV. That right there, if you want, here, silver bullet to your financial problem, pay cash for cars and don't buy new. Then you can live on one income. That will put at least 60% of the people within the financial realm of a one-income nuclear family household. But speaking of finances, whereas the mathematical amount of money one needs to make is not that high of a hurdle to meet, what percentage of the young men can even make that much? And I'd have to look at my data again, but a shockingly high percentage of men, under 40 even into their 30s, live at home. An even higher percentage of these men rely on the government or their parents or both. And so they're not financially able, while living at home, to go and be Ward Cleaver and support a family. Also related to finances, progressive credentialism. Now, this isn't purely women's fault, but HR is disproportionately female. Where do we go here? Where's the trail? And it's always bachelor's required, master's preferred. Ooh, this looks dangerous. All right, that's stable. That's stable. Yeah, crossing a stream. Cross the streams. It would be bad. Total protonic reversal. But also making it almost impossible for the majority of young men to be able to financially support a family is not all women, but HR insist on irrationally stupid level of education just to do an entry-level job. And you girls, guys, they pay attention to what you girls say, and you girls really want a guy with a degree, a master's, and status. But you don't want someone necessarily makes a lot of money, because you confuse education with income, where there's a general correlation, but that is rapidly being unanchored, untethered. And so you won't go out with a plumber. Snoresville, OMG girlfriend, which again, for you ladies, find a tradesman. Electrician, diesel mechanic, welder. No, they're not an investment banker, but at least they're not demanding a bailout from the taxpayer, and they're probably not dicks. But larger point is, back in the day, there was not this obsession with college education, and a young man, a young woman, graduated at 18, and they'd be able to find a job that would pay for a humble home, not a huge McMansion, a humble 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom home, bunk beds. Anyone remember bunk beds from the 80s? And you wouldn't be living the life, but you'd have a family. You could live on one income. You could be a stay-at-home mom. Another thing, lessening the quality of men as well as shrinking the supply of marriageable men. I know you girls all love affirmative action, and you're passing laws that are literally discriminatory against men. A certain percentage of the board must be women. We actively hire women. And God, that's been going on since I was alive. like, yeah, we got it already. Shut up about it. But like I said, men pay attention. And if there's a really hardworking guy, and he's smart, and he sees that the game is essentially rigged, he'll bust his ass off, get advanced degrees, training certification. And then he's up for promotion. He's put in all his dues. Your husband's about to get a raise. Oh, no, we gotta promote LaDasha. We gotta promote Tiffany, who has half the year experience, but she has the right plumbing. And we're all political and woke, and we threw meritocracy and fairness out of the... So, there's certainly a percentage of men who would have otherwise gone off to become good corporate men, leaders, managers, whatever, who are now like, if it's not fair, why would I give it my all? If a guy doesn't give it his all, his income drastically shrinks. And then you also still. And here's another thing girls get to worry about. Men gotta feed themselves first. They have to, food, clothing, and shelter comes first. Because then you can't chase girls if you're dead or starving. And what they do is they say, well, if I put all my time and effort into that, I'm not rewarded. Well, I'm not going to do that. What am I going to do? I'm going to become a minimalist. And since you girls have been telling men, since I think about the 60s, you don't need them, and you're going to do what you want, and look out, girlfriend, snap your fingers to 12 to the 3 to the 9 to the 6. I'm like, you know what? I don't think I'm getting my MBA. I don't think I'm getting my CPA. I don't think I'll go to med school. I'm going to, and what do you see? Play video games, jerk off the prawn, drink, brew pub. Dude, bro, want to go to the brew pub? Groom their beards and wear plaid. Hey, and don't forget frisbee golf, okay? Huh, ladies? Aren't those some sexy characters out there doing the frisbee golf? So that lessens, affirmative action, unfair, discriminatory hiring practices, lessens the quality or the supply of men who can earn that. Also, I want to talk about a little bit of psyop, psychological warfare. As I said before, and I'm sure you girls have heard it too, we don't need no man. You don't need no man. You don't need a man to be happy. And I'm not taking your last name. And forget, what's the word I'm looking for? The ostensible point and purpose of feminism, equal treatment, all that. And forget even the politics of it. No guy wants to marry that. I want to, here's another, some free a-hole consulting advice. Men want nice, sweet, kind, supportive women. They don't want to, look, if the guy has to support a family, he's going to work real hard, maybe have to put in some overtime, and sacrifice. He needs a co-lead. He needs a partner. He needs a support system. He doesn't need a competitor. He doesn't need an adversary. He needs to come back home. He needs to rest up. He needs to be fed and fueled back out. Kind of like in the boxing ring. You go through a round, and when the bell dings, you go back to your respective corner. That's what it's like. Go out there and fight some more. Okay, but be in his corner. Help him out. And if we were to take modern day sex relations between men and women, what it would be is two guys go into the ring and duke it out. And then when they go to the respective corners, there's this harpy neigh. Where did you go? Where did you get the bed? How come you're not making more money? and then both guys are like, screw this, it's better in the ring getting punched. I'll go back. I mean, how many guys do you know? I mean, let's be honest, look at some of the older men, How many of them go to work just to get away from their wife? guy's trying to knock my lights out, but it's better than going back home and having her nag about, the lawnmower. So some free, it's not hard, you know how you make a good chocolate sundae? You get some ice cream, right? You get some chocolate syrup, right? And then you get some whipped cream, and you put on some sprinkles, and then there's a cherry. How hard is that? It's the same recipe for you young gals, or maybe older gals. If you'd like to get married, be hot, be thin, be nice. Don't nag. It's not a complicated formula. And I apologize that you poor girls have been essentially brainwashed with this ideology of, I even hate to call it feminism, but brainwashing to view men as your competitor at best and your enemy at worst. That is not helping anybody out. And if you got it up your dirt chute that you're not taking his name because I read this book and my professor already, it's no, you're not gonna, one, you're not gonna be happily married. Two, I don't know what guy of quality, one who isn't a pushover is gonna tolerate that. And the guy you really want, strong, masculine, independent, strikes out on his own, which are the characteristics of men who are successful and can generate the income to support a family. They're gonna be like, nope, nope. And just a sad, not warning, but an FYI, this is not the 70s and 80s anymore, where young men were truly lost and had no, see, we didn't have Cosmo. We didn't have Vogue, which was the predecessor to social media that you girls get nowadays on the internet. And there's still Vogue and Teen and whatever else. But we didn't have that. We're wondering, these girls are not really nice. What? This isn't like the Andy Griffith Show where the girls are all friendly to Barney and Andy. What the heck's going on? Where's my Juanita? Only people who watch Andy Griffith are going to get that. And so, and I think if you're already along the lines of, I want to be a stay-at-home mom, traditional nuclear family, I think you are not influenced or infected with the mind virus of feminism. But just generally speaking, that's another thing, is I have been told this since I was 5 years old. Women don't need you. They don't need a man. Anything a man can do, a woman can do better. Since I was 5 years old. And I can only imagine the volume has been turned up for these poor men. And just as you girls are steeped in a constant cacophony of rah, rah, you go girlism, men are also steeped in the, you're the patriarchy. You're oppressing us unknowingly through institutional sexism. And you're the bad guy, and we don't need you. That wears on guys. It won't make them jump off a cliff. But by the time they are making money, and they've dated, and they got the girls standing them up and snapping their fingers, and, I'm dating profile, I'm feminist, if you can't have it, they do burn out. And some of them throw in the towel. They're like, okay, I went out and boxed, and I go to my corner, I get yelled at and nagged. Give me the towel, I'm done. And then they don't participate in life, and all they do, they get by on impulse power. They do the minimum amount of work. They live off their stimmy checks or government aid. And then they play their video games and prawn. And then you say, why can't I find a man? Well, that's a huge incentive. You took the number one incentive men had, women, and you destroyed it. Related? No, you all know this. Everybody knows this. It's just, I laugh and find it incredibly entertaining how you guys all maintain the facade of it. Stay thin, okay? When I did the statistics for the book of numbers, it's just shy of 60%, 59.5 or something. 60% of young women, that's between 18 and 35, which I considered the marrying age, 60% of them are overweight. And I'm pretty harsh on the male clients I get when they come out. How do I get the girls? And I say, send me a picture. I say, well, Tubbo, before you even approach a girl, lose 80 pounds, you dumbass. Like, don't, and it's the same thing. You're overweight, so what do men do in response? Well, if all these girls are fat, and I'm not gonna get, I gotta get a master's degree. All right, where do I go here? And even if I get my master's degree, that doesn't mean it's a meritocracy, or I'll get not promoted, even though I'm the best worker. And, well, I'm not finding any girls attractive. You know what, I'm gonna play video games and watch prawn. And you know what ends up happening? The guys get fat. And so, it's not to slam on women, because an equal percentage of men, 60 as well, of young men are also overweight, and they're not physically attractive. So you got that there. What are we on, 4th, 5th, 6th? I don't know. I'm just trying to paint the environment so you can see how this generation of men you get to choose from was formed. We got that. Just thinking. Don't need no man. Affirmative action. Oh! I guess it's political, but not the point I want to make. You girls really want life on easy mode. And this is young people in general. Young people think, why can't we just print off more money? You're about to find out. But why can't we have this for free? Why can't we have that for free? And then you vote for socialism, UBI or stimmy checks, and then you expect, essentially creating a very soft, weak, coddled, pampered environment. And weak, coddled, pampered environments do not forge strong, independent men. And gosh, you could see it. Every millennial, you weren't allowed in Brooklyn. Did you know this? They passed a law in Brooklyn, New York, that if you didn't have a perfectly groomed beard and had too low a body fat, and you could bench press your own weight, you weren't allowed in there as a millennial. You had to be a weak, perfectly groomed beard, perfectly well-fashioned, noodly arm, soy boy millennial. You had to do that, otherwise you wouldn't be let in to Brooklyn. And I've mentioned this before, but this is the generation of men you grew. I always liken it to nutmeg trees, where nutmeg trees don't bear fruit, I think, until it's like 30 years. Humans are about the same. And if you malnourish or don't fertilize correctly, I'm gonna sit down. A nutmeg tree is the same thing with people. And there's no Wayback Machine. We don't get Doc Brown and go back to 1985. You have raised men on a steady diet of soy, affirmative action, participation trophies, low standards, everything bought and paid for by the government. And this isn't necessarily a slam against Democrats. It's a slam against the unforeseen, the well-intended consequences, or the unforeseen consequences of well-intended actions. What did you think? You want some strong, independent man who can take you in a manly fashion, and you vote to put life on easy mode, and you wonder why do all the men look like Canadians? Why do they all look like Swedes? Why are they all soft and soy-like? Where have all the good men gone? Well, they're not there. You didn't raise strong men. You almost put them into a coma or a stasis where they just kind of go, they're not going to excel. You know, like you need a certain amount of pressure and heat to turn coal into the diamond. And that's a hard environment. Men have to go through a forging process. And you've just never applied any pressure to these lumps of coal. And then you say, oh, why are there so many lumps of coals and not any diamonds around? Well, you made it easy. And boys failed to launch and become men. But you know what? they will put on their dating profile that they support feminism and they're against Trump, and they like to go out for biscotti and maybe some tea, or whatever you want, dear. Doesn't that just get you all hot and bothered? Isn't that sexy? So another little bit of advice you get: you're gonna have to date older, or maybe younger. And even then, if you're thinking, well, maybe I'll go 35, 40. It wasn't like Gen X was exactly put through the ringer either. You could make the argument they were first latchkey kids to go through the divorce wave, and some of us have been galvanized. But by and large, the entire supply of the United States men are soy boys. They're weaklings. They're not real men. And what real men there are, there's every woman wants them, and competition is fierce. And those guys, like, why would I commit? Why would I get married? So it's a very skewed dating market for the men. Every girl's chasing the top 10%, and there's only one man to go around 10 women. And he'll settle for 3 of the hottest ones, and you can timeshare. And so good luck with that. Hang on, let me take a look at my notes. I did take notes. Come on, computer. Or cell phone. Hang on. Okay, that's still recording. That's the camera. I don't want that. That's that. Oh, that's not it. Where'd it go? All right. Did affirmative action. Did progressive comments. Poor finances. Oh, here's another one. By the way, speaking of latchkey kids, did you see all that divorce happen? Yeah, divorce is not new. It's now like on its 3rd generation, starting with the boomers, Gen Xers, and certainly the millennials are familiar with it. And whereas maybe it was a one-trick pony, okay? You could do it one time. And then men are like, whoa, I remember my dad getting divorced. I remember him being poor. I remember him getting divorced again and losing half his stuff. I know my buddy Frank got divorced. I dated this girl. She was crazy. I'm not going to marry her. And, well, a lot is happening is cohabitation because men aren't stupid. But men are not unaware of divorce. They're acutely aware of it. And as the word has gotten out, because, by the way, there's the internet, it's not 1980 anymore, men are exchanging notes. Most men are like, do not marry. Just do not get married. Live with a girl, have a serious relationship, separate places, depending on the state, no cohabitation. And here, once again, ladies, the paradox is you want a smart, productive man who makes a lot of money. Well, smart men are going to be the ones to say, whoa, marriage isn't worth it. They'll be the first to assess that. Because that's what smart people do, is assess risk and make good choices. And so you now have a generation of men who are absolutely scared crapless of getting married. So there's that. And then finally, not you specifically to the client, and I'm sure any woman who actually is genuinely interested in getting married, you probably haven't done this, but the vast majority of women and men, the environment, society tells men that women want sensitive, caring men to get in touch with their feminine side. And you've seen it. You've seen hipsters in Brooklyn. You've seen the millennials. All right? They don't know how to clean a gun. They don't know how to fire a gun. They've never thrown a punch. But, they strum with their acoustic guitar and they write poetry. And they're really kind and supportive. And they're the shoulder for you to cry on, not get railed in bed and coming to ecstasy. So that's anyway, you take all this together and it's hard to assess, but I went through, you could find a video that I did, what percentage of men are marriageable, and it's absolutely less than 5%. I'd have to go through and check through it. And here where the numbers. I better not climb up. I'm above the tree line. The wind is getting to me here. I'll climb down here. I'm almost at the top, I think. All right. Anyway, here's where the numbers come in. And it's not looking good. The percent of women like you, my fine client, who publicly state they want to get married is very low. Oh, darn it. Go down here. It's very low. I'd say less than 1% of women will have the balls or the courage to admit they just want to be a stay-at-home mom. Heck, my buddy, 46, 47 years old, even she admitted, all I wanted to be was a stay-at-home mom. And before you guys jump on her, she came from not an easy background, and she had to because she's a dentist, and she's one of the coolest gals I know. And I don't think there was even an option for her then to get married and be the stay-at-home kid. But because you all force everyone to go to college and get crippling levels of debt, so ain't nobody, male or female, in a financial position to get married. But, you girls got to get your master's degree, and that's the number one thing. Anyway, but it's a very rare, and I would say a truly strong woman, truly independent woman, who admits, I just want to be a stay-at-home mom. I want the traditional thing, like we've been doing for millions of years, but, screw biology. Some social scientists, feminists in the 60s say they got a better idea. Genetics, who knows? What epigenetics and the genome know? What does DNA know? Anyway, so it's a very small percentage of women that will admit that. But then, there's a bunch of cowardly women who just don't want to upset the sisterhood and admit that because they'll be shamed. They'll undermine all the trillions of dollars and trillions of hours. Yeah, literally probably trillions of hours gone into careerism and education and advanced degrees, which I'm not against. It's just that you put that at the center of life. So when anyone comes up and admits that, you're calling into question arguably was the number one thing in most women's lives, and that's frankly themselves. it's their career and work, and which I don't know. I don't like working, but if you guys want to work and pay taxes and commute, by all means, go ahead. But deep down inside, what percent of women actually want to get married? What percentage of women cry themselves to sleep after a night at the nightclub, rejecting the advances of all these guys that might have probably made a good husband? I don't know. But if I had to guess it, I would say around 40%. I don't think it's the majority. I think the majority of women do not want to get married and have kids. I think the indoctrination and conditioning or the operating system they've been installed with is very low, or has made it so that they really don't want to get married. Their genetics has been beaten out of them. But there's still 40%, I bet, like deep down inside, they want a tradition. So you have 40% of women chasing 5% of guys. And that 5%, so that's a ratio of at least 8 to 1. So for every marriageable guy under the age of 35, or was it 40? I think it's 40. There's 8 gals that are going to be chasing them. And if you don't believe, watch Fresh and Fit. But the problem that you have there is, well, that changes the environment. And what would have traditionally been a marriageable guy is now a player because he's got 8 gals chasing after him, and he's no longer in the market to get married. And so this is what I've done another video, prepare for the expectation that you won't, for the likelihood you won't get married. Looking at these numbers and, just getting a general feel for society's zeitgeist and its opinions. I hate to say it, I think only maybe 10% of you are going to find that, not even that. It's only 5% of guys. But out of the 40% of women, how many of you, I don't think, 10% of the 40% of women who want to get married and be traditional, like deep down inside, it's going to be the exception, not the rule. Because there's the supply of men. Everyone's busy paying off their student loans, going to school instead of forming families. The media and propaganda or information that men are being told is that they're not needed. And so they're, like I said, they're going into a ketosis or a stasis, kind of a zombie, barely, and not achieving their full capacity. And so it's just, and you've raised them essentially. Now, right, men have made their own choices. A lot of men don't go to the gym and all that. But we as a community have raised a crop of men that is just not marriage material. And so the number one thing you can do is prepare for the very high likelihood none of you are going to be stay-at-home moms. And if you watch my video I mentioned before, I tell men, I say, I'm sorry, sir, wife and kids is not on the menu. Would you like something else, sir? We're fresh out of wife and kids in traditional homes. We have what's it called? We have some fishing, we have some boating, we have some fun motorcycle riding, we have dating a lot of girls but committing to none, but we have no traditional wife with kids. And since men and women are the same, two sides of the same coin, if men have no expectations, low statistical likelihood of getting married, the same thing applies to you girls. And so, whereas I understand you're 19, or no, you were 20, the other one was 19. And there's a group of you gals explicitly stating it, while some will only admit it to their deepest, darkest of drunken nightmares. There's a couple of things you can do. So, one, lower your expectations. Two, stay thin, be attractive. Three, long hair, be feminine, wear dresses. I mean, you got to visually market yourself. And I don't mean like dress lewdly, but be feminine. Because I don't care what they told you in school, men like women. It's like law of nature. It's physics. Electrical is there's a positive and a negative. There's a yin and a yang, and men like women. And so be feminine. And that right there, I mean, if you're thin, you're in the top 40% of women already. Be nice. I'm not saying don't be for women's rights, but don't lecture and lord your politics. No guy cares. He really doesn't. And, and then on your dating profiles, be very clear. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. Cut through the BS, right? Just cut through the BS. You're probably going to have to date older to find more financially stable men. I understand, like, there was a 19-year-old, and I said, well, I got some guys, but they're like 32, 33. She's like, no, it's too old for me. I'm like, yeah, I understand. And then what else? Don't have bad finances. Oh, another thing, don't have another guy's kid. By the way, don't tattoo your face. Don't get crazy hair colors. Don't pierce your nose. I know... But I'm a strong... Okay, fine, then you're not in the market. You're not in the market. That's fine. You don't have to do that then. But it's not difficult. It's a chocolate sundae, ice cream, chocolate syrup, whipped cream, sprinkles, and a cherry on top. Maybe two. But above all else, I'm sorry, ladies, the vast majority of you, that option, you cannot be a stay-at-home mom. That is not going to be an option for the majority of you. So there we go. All right, now how do I turn this off? Let me make sure I got it all here. See, I did work while hiking. How great is that? It's awesome. All right, see you guys later. Toodles.